What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Games Up podcast. My name is Cameron McCulloch-Keeble. Hopefully you know me as one third of the host of this show, and you join me this week for the penultimate episode of our EGX 2016 Indie Dev interviews. Now, this time last year, we were walking the show floor of EGX 2015 and we stumbled across a game that had a massive crowd surrounding it. We saw the hubbub and we saw the enjoyment and we thought, those are people that we need to interview. Those people turned out to be the brilliant minds behind Unbox. And since that interview, Unbox has gone on to do great things. It's been featured on major channels that you'll know the name of, like GameSpot and IGN, and we were lucky enough to get to interview them before the game was released last year. So when we found that they were back on the list of EGX 2016, we knew we had to see them, we knew we had to interview them, and we knew we had to ask them what's been going on in the year since we last saw them. So I will talk no more and let them do it for me. This is Unbox. It was about this time last year at EGX when I stumbled across a little game called Unbox. And luckily, they're back here for the second year, so I thought we'd come by and do a little catch-up with them. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. So if you listen to Games Up podcast fairly regularly, you may well recognise the voice of Matt.
Hello.
Who talked about Unbox a year ago. Tell us about the year you guys have had.
Well, it's been a pretty crazy year. We've been finishing off the game, which has been largely the single-player campaign, which was a lot of work to finish off and get it up to the standard that we wanted to. And we've also added a lot more to the multiplayer mode, and just anyone who's worked in games can tell you that finishing a game is the hardest bit.
So tell us a little bit about Unbox as it stands. What is Unbox? What should we do with it?
Unbox is about the ultimate postal delivery service, self-delivering cardboard boxes. There's a single-player and multiplayer game modes, and the single-player game mode is more like your classic 90s 3D platforming adventure. You've got 4 massive worlds, you roll through the worlds, you collect tape, you earn stamps. When you've got enough stamps, you fight the boss. When you beat the boss, you unlock the next world. And underneath all this, there's this big story that I hope players will enjoy, and there's boss battles and everything. And the multiplayer is a good local multiplayer, couch co-op fun. Sorry, it's not co-op, it's very much every man for himself. But we've got 4 different arena modes and a race mode. And in total, we've got 12 arenas, and we're hoping to add more. We've already added 1 as free DLC since launch, and we're still enjoying making it, so we want to keep adding to it.
Great. So the last time we saw you, you were crowded with people as you are right now, and all of those people were coming off and saying, oh, wow, awesome. But the thing you were saying to me just before we started was that you were kind of having to say, it's coming out sometime.
Yeah.
So how is it sort of different now to have all these people crowding around to be able to say, there's the game?
Well, it's great. Because we've done a bunch of these shows over the last year, and this is the first one we've done since release. So one of the first people that came over, I was giving them the usual, hey, this is Unbox, and I started going through the controllers, and she was like, oh, I know, I've got it. I'm just showing my friends. I was like, oh, fantastic. So there's actually a little bit less work to do because people already know it, and some people are just here to show their friends, and it's really nice.
So is this sort of reaping the benefits of your hard work of having put so much effort into a game now, watching people just enjoy it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, these shows are still hard work, but it's enjoyable. It's great seeing people who've already got the game and are just going over to say hi or show their friends. It's really rewarding seeing that people are enjoying it, and the feedback we've received online has been very good too, so we're really happy with the final product and the feedback we're receiving.
So last year I asked you what your job focused on as an audio person in the game. This year I'm going to switch that up a bit. How has your job either changed or been made harder over the course of that more intense year up towards launch?
Well, there was a lot more work. Finishing off the game, so waiting for art and design assets to be finalised before I can do my final sound design pass. And on top of that, writing all the music, implementing all the music, mixing all the music. It's been a whirlwind of a year, but I've really enjoyed it, and I'm like the rest of the team, I'm really happy with the final product.
Excellent. So not to be too fancy for you guys, but I've noticed your name on some fairly impressive sites.
Have you?
I've noticed you being played on some fairly well-known sites by some fairly well-known personalities.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have a game that you made in the hands of people who have made games what they are, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, we've had some good press coverage, and a big one has been the YouTubers as well. Their influence is just massive for developers like us, so we're just delighted that so many of them have picked it up and started playing the game. We've had Dan TDM, who's got a crazy amount of subscribers playing the game. We've had so many kids come up to this stand and be like, I'm here because Dan TDM played it, and it's like, wow, this stuff is huge. It costs us nothing. They just play the game, and suddenly kids everywhere know about the game. It's great exposure for us.
So something that our listeners can't see because this is audio only is all across your booth here. You have post-it notes with people's faces on them.
Yeah.
What's the idea of that?
Right. So we actually thought our stand was half as big as it was. I think somebody dropped out and we got the extra half of the stand. So our poster only covers the middle of the stand. We had these big gaps at the edge. And then we started taping up the sign, and people come in and were like, "Oh, cool, right, you're taping up the sign because like your game's about cardboard." And we were like, "Yes, that's exactly." So we've kind of winged it, but it's worked out really well. We've got all the post-its because we're doing a design your own box contest. We didn't expect it to take off this much, but basically we thought a few people will design their own boxes, it'll be a bit of fun, and the artists will take the best one and put it in the game. But now there's about 200 of them, so we're going to take the best 3 or 4 and put them in the game, I think. So
Excellent.
I think half of our artist week next week is going to be sifting through these post-its and whittling out the best ones.
So just once again, quickly, tell us about the studio that makes this. Tell us where you're based. Tell us like a very sort of potted history of how you guys came together.
Okay, so Unbox is the result of a game jam in December 2014. It was a UE4 game jam where the theme was "What's in the Box?" And yeah, the designer and the programmer kind of came up with something that was the bare bones of Unbox, and we were like, "Oh, this is kind of fun," and it got steadily more and more out of hand until we've got this. And I joined the company just after this. I used to work at TT Fusion, which I really loved, but I was kind of tempted away by this game, which was a bit of a crazy decision at the time. And I've been childhood friends with Andrew since we're about 3. And we've pulled in the rest of the team from other big studios or small indie studios, and there's 7 of us who work on the game in total. And so we're quite big for an indie team, but then we've made quite a big game. So I think we couldn't have done it with any less people.
Excellent. So is it too early to ask what the future for Unbox and your team is, or is that...
Our current plan is we want this to be a console game. I can't say what's going to happen with that, but our main priority is getting this onto console. It was designed with controllers in mind. It was designed with people sitting around on a couch with friends in mind. So that's our number one priority right now, is getting it to consoles.
Excellent. Okay, so we
watch
should
this space.
So we should keep our eye out for that then.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic.
And we will be banging the drum and making a lot of noise about it when we have any solid console announcements to make.
Well, if you've listened to this and think that you like the sound of Unbox, maybe you should pay attention and bang the drum a bit for them as well.
We'd love that.
Excellent. Where can we find you on social media and things for anybody who's interested?
At Unbox the Game, all one word, or at Prospect Games, unboxthegame.com. Or I think if you just put Unbox Game into Google, you should find all of our stuff there.
There you go. And if you are struggling to find it, come to Games Up Podcast's Twitter, and we follow them, and I think we follow each other, so there's a whole thing going on.
Yeah.
You should be able to find it. Great. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And who knows where you'll be next year, right?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was Unbox. A massive, massive thank you to them for coming on the show, and a giant congratulations to them for the things they have gone on to do since we interviewed them the first time. Next week, we have the biggest interview we have ever conducted, and I cannot wait to put it out to you guys and reveal what it is. It's going to be fantastic. Please, 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 if you feel so inclined, if you liked what you heard here, like this show so that we might get out in front of a few more people and so that we know that what we're doing is good. If you really, really like it, please consider subscribing so you definitely won't miss what we're putting out next week, because believe me, you're not going to want to. And if you really feel like it, please come and have a look at our social channels. We've got a Facebook, we've got a Twitter account. They're down in the descriptions below. You can go there and talk to us about anything. Thanks very much for listening. We really, really appreciate it. Cannot wait to share with you what we've got next week. But until then, the game's up.